We're going to go to David Senecal's slideshow now. It's an excellent slideshow, really interesting work. It probably will run us over the hour, I'm warning you now, and I'm not going to cut it off. This is too good. David, I think you'd like me to show it from here, and you can say when to share, when to change slide, or do you want to show it from where you are?
Good morning, everybody. I just want to start off by saying how pleased I am to join your club. I've done so because Mike Brazo told me what a wonderful club it was. I'm a member of the same guild as he belongs to in Hamilton, Ontario. I also belong to the Sarasota Woodturners in Florida. I don't know yet if I still have a home or not, but
oh boy. Are you okay with showing this, or do you need to go and watch
that's fine.
TV?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Would you like me to show the PowerPoint from here?
If you wouldn't mind, please.
Okay, I'm going to go there right now.
Okay. I just want to start by giving you a short background as to what my experience is. I started turning in 1999 because I felt I needed a project I was going to retire shortly thereafter. So I decided I need the project, and I stumbled on wood turning. So I did the normal round and brown things for many years, bowls and peppermills and everything else. But 6 or 7 years ago, I felt that I was getting kind of stale and wasn't enjoying myself as much. So I've kindly gone over to the dark side, and pretty well everything I do now is embellished in some fashion. So the first slide here is a burial or cremation urn I did. So I guess with the stand and everything, it's about 21 inches tall. A lot of my turnings, I have these spiral carvings in it. I kind of enjoy doing that. And well, basically that's the type of the work I do most often now these days. I don't know if you have any questions with respect to that first one. This is another cremation urn I did for someone. And I have also did little musical instruments. So it's funny. Cradled? Sorry?
Is that urn just cradled in there, or is it?
Yeah, it's just cradled in there, yeah.
Is that wood, or carved wood, or metal, the base?
It's all wood.
All wood. And the hollow spiral up top is carved?
Yeah, that's just based on the work that the finials that Stu Mortimer does in the US. Yeah.
Are you doing that with like Dremels or drills? What's your tools for hollowing that out?
For the finial?
Yeah.
I just use a Brad Pitt drill bit and kept drilling. I created like the line, and I just drilled in from
all
I don't know what you call them.
Yeah.
Drilled into the center, and then just rasps and sandpaper, and so.
Are you doing that on the lathe with the piece mounted on the lathe?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Once again, it's the same type of finial. As you can see, I did a lot of these spiral carvings.
What is that?
That was a jacaranda, which a piece I picked up in Florida. That's normally a pretty bland wood, so that's why I stained it and used a lot of pyrography on it.
How big is that piece?
That's probably about 16 inches tall.
Wow.
I'm going to ask a stupid question. Is that copper or is that wood?
Oh, sorry. It's all wood.
Looks like copper almost.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to go back to it.
That one.
No,
that's wood.
It's all wood. The only thing is the concave section. I use pyrography, a kind of a Molly Winton tip on my pyrography pen. And I learned this by watching a video by the Detroit area wood turners. A few years ago, they all went, or at least 5 or 6 of them went to take a hands-on or a week-long session from Avellino Samuel, who's kind of the expert in these things, in this type of carving. And they came back to their club and they put on about a 2-hour demo, which was now on YouTube. And they also produced a thick PDF document with all the tools and the techniques and all the various steps. So I must have watched that video 25 times and read the PDF document as often. And then I tried it, and that's the result.
This is a finial?
I'm sorry?
You go ahead.
This is another cremation urn. I seem to do a lot of these things. Well, once again, I kind of just look around the shop and I take any piece of wood and I never really know what I'm going to do when I start. I have no planned ideas, but I start turning it on the lathe and it says, oh, I got this much left and it's this shape. And then I just keep filling around till I come up with something I find pleasurable.
Next slide.
Yeah, please. Yeah. This one, the bottom is just box elder, but there was no nice red sections in it or anything else. It was pretty bland. So I started off trying to do some type of design on the surface, and that's what I end up doing. And it was so bland that I said, I need something fancier with respect to a finial. And then I started doing these fancy kind of flower finials, which the finial took me about 3 times as long to do as the actual hollow form itself.
Is that painted or dyed, or is that the color of the wood?
I just use black India ink there.
Is the yellow as well color of the wood, or paint or dye?
I just put a couple of coats as a wipe on poly on it.
Ah, okay.
Are the finials threaded, or did you just place them in there and seal it some other way?
No, they're all threaded. I buy those black brass parts at the Home Depot there, the type of connections they screw the male, female screw into each other, and then I put them on the lathe and turn them into rings like an insert. So they're all these finials kind of screw on to the top. So.
Is that metal or a plastic, those fittings? The
brass, because they're more. The reason I don't do them in plastic is when I do most of this stuff in Florida, and in Florida you can't get any plumbing supplies. Everything is white. You can't get the black like you can, at least in Canada or elsewhere. So it doesn't look very good. So I use brass. This is a slightly smaller urn. The finial, I just turn like a kind of a cone, like an ice cream cone, slice it down the middle and then re-glued it. And you get this effect here. And I just use a red alcohol dye on it, and a couple of coats of wipe on poly.
How did you do that background?
It's just it's a software I use. It's really a fantastic app. I think it cost me $90 a year to rent it, but I find it's just fantastic. You just put your piece anywhere on your kitchen table or anywhere. You take a picture of it, and it's kind of got this artificial intelligence type of thing, and it just removes the urn removes all the background, and it gives you about 1,000 backgrounds to decide what you want to put behind it. And I've chosen, I like this, where it's just, actually I've taken the background is the same image as of the actual urn. It's called
Great
photo.
choice.
Nicely done.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the software called? Do you know that
I
offhand?
think it's called Photo Room,
Photo Room. Okay.
but it's really thing.
Same thing here. Same background treatment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a carved. Is that finial dyed, or is that black wood in the first place? India ink?
That I think that is actually blackwood. It was small enough that I had a piece of blackwood. It's so expensive, but I think that the one there is actually blackwood.
And the round, is that like, is the painting done with a brush or what did you do that with?
No, actually, if you go to the dollar store, they have these balloons. The long ones are about 16 inches long and then maybe an inch in diameter. You know, you blow them up and you twist them into animals, you know, for the kids.
Yeah.
If you take one of those, you blow it up, not too firm. If you blow it up and you just dip the end of the balloon in your paint, and then you kind of squash it onto the, just touch it on the surface, and you get this kind of.
I like that.
What a great treatment.
You could also do it with your fingers.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. Yes, absolutely. Well,
But not if you have a criminal record, but anyway, but you wouldn't want to. I kind of enjoy the work of an Irish turner, Max Brosey.
oh yeah.
Wave section. So this is not a good picture to show the wave at the bottom, but that's what I did. Pyography around the rim, and
how big is this?
that's probably about 11 or 12 inches.
And what wood?
Let me see. I did that. That's probably, I had some rosewood, a tree. I had to cut down a tree in my yard in Florida. And so I had like a garage full of rosewood. And these were the pieces that were pretty bland parts of the tree. So that's why I kind of dressed them up a bit. So.
Is that dip cut? Did you carve that, or was that natural part of the wood?
This, no, I had to carve that. I should have had another picture, but it's a wave. If you go with Max Brosey, you'll see his waves. They go up and down. So it's all
nice.
carved.
Beautiful.
This is another cremation urn I made. And there you can see where I use those brass plumbing inserts.
Yeah.
So there's an awful lot of I spent about 150 hours on this, I think. Mostly,
all carving and texturing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's an awful lot, and you have to you have to turn a whole bunch of little platter or little sort of like saucers, and then I stack them all up one on top of the other and realign them and put it all together. And
wow,
that's the
Mike Peace, you have your hand up?
What's the size of that? What's the diameter of that brass opening?
That's about an inch. I find it gets really expensive as you get, and they're harder to find if you go beyond that. If I went to 2 inches, but I just don't want to spend $20 just to have a threaded insert. So these cost me $4 or $5. I figure that's, and if I use a funnel, I can still get the ashes in it. So. Now I've started, just because these other things are taking so long, I've started to do smaller stuff like boxes. So now I do, most of my boxes are highly decorated like this now. You couldn't sell.
How big is it? How big is this, David?
The box itself is about, I guess, 3 inches. And you have another inch for the actual flower.
And the wood?
I buy a lot of maple baseball, the blanks they sell there.
Okay.
And I find here you can get like a 3-foot section for $20, and so I could probably get I don't know how many boxes out of that, but six boxes or something. So I find it's very nice wood to work with. It doesn't move very much. It's
And
So
it's
I-
light colored, so it'll take dye and paint too.
Yeah. So once again, like I just keep trying. I just take a scrap piece of wood and I take my mini carver or something and I just play around to it till I get a design I like, and then I start going on to and apply it to the maple. That once again, that's the maple. Again, the same piece.
And then the gold leaf, is that gilder's paste?
No, it's just gold iridescent paint I bought.
Okay. Brush on?
I just in that case I just brushed it on, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a well-known turner out in the Maritimes called Stephen Kennard. I don't know if you know aware of him.
Yes, I've met him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah. Well, he does this type of boxes. So this is an out and out blatant imitation of a type of box that he would do. So, but
Good work.
it gave me an opportunity to practice my pyrography. I'm really into pyrography a lot now, and I think I have 5 or 6 pyrography machines, and including 2 of those what do they call them, the vaporizers that our friend from New Zealand, Graham Priddle, was popularized.
So how do you deal with the fumes? How do you avoid breathing the smoke?
Well, I bought all the necessary, those fans that suck the smoke, but I find that they're annoying because as soon as you move the piece, you keep have to adjusting the fan. So I stay out sort of like near the entrance of my garage. And usually there's a crosswind, and I sort of like sit so that I know that the wind is blowing from behind me and across and away from me.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife still makes me take off my clothes before I come in for lunch. So I smell like a
burning wood. Yeah.
Yep.
And this is 3-sided, turned three axis, multi-axis turned.
Yeah. So each side is, you can't see it from here, but each side I have a different treatment. So then the other 2 sides would be completely different. If you looked at it, they would look completely different from that. So. I'm also a great fan of Michael Cage. And he's
our neighbor. He lives in, he belongs to Keystone Club, I think, or Bucks.
Yeah. So he's a fan of these cup burrs, which the jewelers used to use to set stones.
He was demonstrating at the Mid-Atlantic, actually. He was in a vendor's booth there.
Yeah.
Showing how to do this.
Yeah. So I use those cup burrs an awful lot. And I use them all the time. This is a Peppermill. Now, I do not do anything that looks like a Peppermill anymore, although I do make a lot of Peppermills. I try to make everything into an art piece, even everything that's functional. I try to sort of like disguise it so that people wouldn't, when they first see it, think that it's a Peppermill, let's say, or a salt mill. So there's the top, at least part of the top, because once again, you'll see in the next photo, part of it comes off. So it's really 3 sections. So I had to turn down the regular knob there that the chef specialty mechanism had. And I have to, because the top and bottom of the knob are not the same diameter. So to get it into a hole in this little top, I had to, I first had to put it on the lathe and turn it completely so that the diameter was the same throughout the knob. So once again, like some woman says, Peppermills, geez, they don't, for women, they don't look, they look like some man is always making these Peppermills. They're not very feminine looking, and we're the ones in the kitchen using them. So
These are gorgeous. These are terrific.
Yeah. And once again, you can see I used the cup burrs a lot. And they use these iridescent paints.
Oops, I'll go back. Those are iridescent paints with a brush.
In that case, yes, yeah. And now I kind of do a lot often in the things. I do these curved spiral curves and carving in these things, and I try to do the Peppermill with the direction of the spirals going in one direction, and then the salt mill, I have the direction, do it in the opposite direction.
They look like Japanese kokeshi dolls. Was that an influence for you?
No, actually, I looked at this. I saw a photo of something that Terry Scott in New Zealand. Do you know Terry Scott? He's a well-known turner. Anyway, I saw he had done a vase, and it was vaguely something like these figures I have on the top. So I kind of was inspired by that. This is my latest piece. I just finished this week. I posted on WOW, and I won the cover 2 days ago for this. I've now everything I've been doing lately. I'm doing this technique that Jacques Vessery does, and Rick Cannon, and those people. They all do this what they call dry brushing, and that has really made a difference, I think, in the way I use that all the time now. I think you get the nicest effects, you get nice shadows and everything. And so everything I do now is this dry brushing technique. I think
Jacques Vessery, we had Jacques Vessery on a couple of months ago, and he talked about that, and that video is posted and available too.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a while. And
so you don't draw this out. You make this just by figuring it out as you go.
Well, that one I said, I don't want to have the same kind of exact same form as Jacques has. So I kind of found a form I liked, and I cut it out. I made myself a little stencil of one figure at the top there. And then I just put the stencil everywhere along the top of the thing. And then I just drew around. So I had all these ones, and then I start.
So how big is this piece?
It's about, I think it's 9 inches tall. Can people see me right now?
Yes, I can make it. This is our last slide. Well, just a sec, David. This is the last slide, right?
Yeah, and
okay.
The rest is all. Sorry, just before we leave the slide, all the bottom is. I've been making my own pyrography tips, and so I just design a tip that gives me the particular design I like to have on the wood, and so it's so easy now to make these tips. So
I think I stopped the share. Am I right? Did I stop the share?
Yeah, but this is the size of the.
Huh. Now turn it around so we see the cleft in it too, please. Yes. Okay.
I still want to do the interior. I haven't finished doing the interior, but
bring it a little bit back towards your face so it's a little less distorted. Yeah, that helps. Can we see the bottom of it as well? Does it stand on that point?
No.
Only in the photo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful piece. Okay, any comments, questions for David Senecal? I'm going to drop back to a gallery view and remove the spotlight, I think, if I can. I don't think there's any more spotlights on. Remove
beautiful.
Spotlights. There
beautiful
you go.
Stuff. My God.
I want to thank you very much, David. That's a terrific intro. The app is the photo app. Say it again.
I think it's Photo Room. Just a sec. I'll call it up.
Photo Room, he says.
I'm just gonna go to my.
Yeah. We're right on the hour, so while he looks for that, I'm going to say we'll see you all next week.
It's called Photo Room.
That's
just
right.
on the App Store.
I've just one question.
Go.
David, you talked about pyrography techniques that you learned from the Detroit area woodturners. and
No, it was the
talked about
spiral
a
carving.
video that you saw on YouTube. Could you mail the link to John so that he can distribute it to us?
Sure.
David, I do have a question. I admire the work greatly. I'm trying to get a sense of what kind of time. There's got to be a time commitment to these beautiful pieces. How long does it take to make one?
Well, I often spend at least 100 hours.
Gosh. Oh,
But-
geez.
Wow.
But it's probably a learning process too, because almost every piece I do something I've never done before. And there's a lot of trial and error and correcting mistakes. And I also, the more I go, I've got every type of tool, carving tool and everything you can imagine. Now I'm going more and more back to hand tools, because I'm 75 and I'm starting to shake. And and if you're not using those darn mini grinders and everything all the time, it's so easy to make a mistake. Then you spend a lot of time trying to hide it or correct it. So now I just do mostly with rasps and so I have these. If you go to these microplane, they have these rasps. They're zesters type things. They sell them especially for woodworkers. And I carves out wood fantastic, and they last forever, and they cost like $10, $12. And I can go for a year and they never get dull. And I can carve out wood really fast. And I find it almost goes as fast as using power tools, and I had less chance of mistake at my age, and I can adjust as I go along. So
One last question. Do you start on a piece and finish it, or do you have multiple pieces in the shop that you go from one to the other, or do you start one and just finish it before you go to another?
well, I probably go start to finish unless I'm stuck and can't figure out how to go from point A to point B. So then I'll put it aside and think about it for a few weeks and then come back to it.
Anybody else? Last question to David. I think I'd say
No
on behalf
question.
of all of us, that's a terrific slideshow. Go ahead, Kai.
Yeah. Great work. I admire it. Very inspiring.
Exactly right. Thank you very much,
Fantastic
David.
work.
Wood shop